You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hi, welcome back to Start Your Path. This is Rebecca Holman. I'm the Early College Coordinator with Livingston County. Today, in this episode, we're going to talk about our Auto Early College program, and I thought it would be a good idea to have one of our employers who employs two of our early college students, and I have the early college students with us so they can answer questions. On today's episode, we have Jack Standley, and he is going to graduate from Howell High School this June, as well as the early college program. In December, he will graduate from WCC with an Associate of Applied Science as a Powertrain Development Technician. We also have Chad Kromrey, who is the owner of Kromrey Customs in Howell. And we have Mason Verbison, who graduated from Brighton High School last June and graduated from WCC with an Associate of Applied Science as an Automotive Test Technician. Thank you guys for being on our show this morning.
Yeah, no problem.
So, Chad, can you tell us about Kromrey Customs and what you guys do there?
Yeah, so Kromrey Customs and Performance is a business that kind of takes any type of vehicle from classic vehicles to performance cars and exotic cars, and we try to build the dream around the customer. So our slogan is building dreams. We take a full approach of looking at the vehicle. We look at pulling almost every single part off of the vehicle, literally stripping down every single piece of the vehicle on our restorations, making sure that everything is coated with the best coatings so that it'll last a lifetime or multiple generations for who we're building it for. So we do everything from body work to sandblasting to building engines to performance upgrades around the whole vehicle. So that can be anything from rebuilding an engine for 700 horsepower, or it can be restoring an old 68 Camaro SS. We kind of branch through lots of different makes of vehicles, and we try to do pretty much anything that a normal shop would say no to.
Oh, very good. That must be exciting. Do you remember how you heard about the early college program?
Yeah, so originally my wife, Nicole, had reached out looking for some people to kind of come on board and learn through us. I had told her that I felt there was something put on my heart to essentially train new people who are up and coming, who are younger. We had a handful of people that were older in the shop. We knew that they were kind of transitioning into different places in their career or transitioning out. And I thought, well, it's actually kind of hard in our line of work because we're not doing the standard automotive line of work where we kind of have a blueprint to follow. We have to kind of think on our feet and come up with new ways to do things. The way that we like to do things is kind of to tier 10. So a lot of times we're not just repairing something and getting it out the door. And that's kind of hard for some of the older generation to get around after they've been a technician for a long time. So I told her, I feel like I need to kind of teach this to somebody. Mm-hmm. So I think she had originally reached out with maybe an email to you, I think directly, right, quite a while ago. Probably 2.5 years ago, and we got tied in with the education department, and then got Mason, who's been obviously awesome. So he's been really taking on everything. He's essentially managing the shop right now. I have another full-time career while the shop is running, so I'm not there a lot, and I needed somebody to rely on. So Mason's been that person. I have recently talked to Jack about becoming another one of those people, which is pretty awesome because of their age and what they're able to take on and the things that they're learning and the next steps for them in their career is pretty awesome from what we originally started with just an email or response.
Right. I remember talking with your wife and then of course, before I sent Mason over to you, I had to do a little research to make sure that you guys were a legit company. I just didn't want to send Mason over there. And part of my job is to just make connections between employers and and students to see what would be a good fit. And I remember thinking, because I've known Mason since he was very little, and I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be perfect for Mason. So I was so excited when that happened. So Mason, tell us a little bit about how you started, how, I just made the connection for you between you and Chad. So how did you just start your internship?
Yeah, so basically just like through college, you needed like a internship as like a credit or something, I think.
It's part of our program.
Yeah.
We wanted you to have some real world experience, not just classes. So.
Yep, so did like all the resume writing and cover letter and stuff, and ended up getting that contact with Chad, sent that to him. He pulled me in for an interview. I was thinking, I'm like, man, this is like a dream job, doing anything you could ever want to do, working on cool cars. And so I just started working there more part-time, doing school as well, and just kind of went from there and kept just working there, working up the ladder and that. And yeah, it was pretty, I don't know.
Every time I see you, you always love talking about your job. So
Yeah,
I know it's a good fit.
it's always something new every day. Or
Yeah,
trying to figure out new problems to solve. And
that's good. Jack, what about you? How did you find this internship? Because I don't think did I connect you, or you had found it some way? And then when I met you, you said, yeah, I work at Kromrey. And I'm like, no way.
So what actually happened is I go to church with Chad at Grumlaw in Heartland. And Chad knows the pastor there, Terry, and Terry knows me as well. And he had texted me one evening. He's like, hey, give me a call in the morning. I have a job that I think you would really like, and they're really looking for people like you. And Terry had called me and gave me Chad's contact info and told me to call him. He said, you guys would be great together. And so I'd called Chad in the morning and then met with him that evening, and he offered me the job to go work there. So I've been working there part-time since, I think, 2021. And yeah, it's been great. I love the job, and Chad's great to work for.
So that was before you started your college classes, right? So you had finished, or had you finished your first year of college classes as a senior?
I was in my first year
Yep.
as my college.
So you had taken your auto program, the CTE, the Career and Technical Education program in your high school, and then had started.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Chad, what qualities and skills do you look for when you're talking to somebody new that you want to hire?
Yeah, so typically, and Mason knows this because he's hired with me now, but
Oh, so you can chime in here, but
Yeah.
we'll start with Chad.
he probably thinks my questions are weird, but I try to get three things. The first question that I always ask an applicant when we're sitting in person, because it's hard to kind of get a feed if you're not in person. Phone calls are okay, but typically we will talk to them in person in the shop environment so they can see what we do. So I'll go through a little introduction on what we do, some of the unique projects we're working on, and then I try to learn three things, and I ask a handful of questions to try to get those three things out. The first one is essentially that we can trust the person, because a lot of times we're dealing with really, really expensive stuff, really expensive cars. We're dealing with parts that are pretty easily to just grab and walk off with. Some of the paints we mix are thousands of dollars a gallon. So we need trust as number one. So I usually ask a question around something about, is there ever been a time when you took something without asking, and then you essentially forced them to give a response to that, even if it was something as small as, taking a pen or a couple bucks out of their mom's purse or whatever it was, right? Typically we'll get responses like that, or someone took a bolt somewhere. But really what we're looking for is the closed loop feedback from that question, because everyone's done something. Everyone's grabbed a extra piece of paper out of the printer, right? Or something so silly as that, right? So you're looking for a closed loop of, what did you learn from that? What happened? And then we ask follow-up questions about, how did you feel after that? What was the consequences? So that's question number one. Number two, typically we're trying to get a little bit more information about behaviors. So what's your work ethic, really, is what that boils down to. So I'll ask questions about, give me an example when you had to do something really hard, you had to stay up late to get something solved. You would be surprised at how many people can't answer that question nowadays. And
Wow.
when I grew up, we were getting pushed so hard, and Mason and Jack were obviously great examples of, people who've been through parenting that was amazing because they had strong work ethic. You could ask them that question and they'd have so many examples they couldn't stop talking. So that's the one we really try to understand. Are you going to come in and just sit there on your cell phone, or are you going to come in and work? Because the person that comes in to sit on their cell phone is not going to learn anything, and nothing's going to come of it, nor are they probably going to do that great in the early college program.
Right.
So
Right.
We try to make sure that we have that work ethic established. And then the last one is after behaviors is that we just try to understand what their passion is for the car. So those 3 items are really important. And the passion one comes from a lot of different places. Typically in our line of work, it'll come from a parent, an uncle, a family friend that had an old car or something that someone worked on or helped to weld in some quarter panels or rebuild the engine on. Or in Jack's case, he's got a small business working on small engines. So, he's kind of got that experience already. And then when we go and we build a V8 that's got 500 horsepower, he already knows the fundamentals of the engine. So it's a lot easier to take that next step.
Right.
So we kind of look for the experience and passions in question number 3. So those 3 are very effective, I would say.
That's good. Good to know. So all of you who are listening, this is what you need to know when you're interviewing. In your experience with Mason and Jack, and you've kind of touched on it, how do they compare to other candidates in terms of skill? You kind of touched on the work ethic and just readiness for employment.
Yeah, so these 2 in particular are probably top tier, I would say, of who we've interviewed and had in. Jack, for example, he just won't sit still. So like we bring him in and there's certain times we're building a car and we have to go and research something, and Jack is sitting there almost twiddling his thumbs like, guys, what's next? I got to get to the next thing because I can't stand here. And I love that. Although sometimes it's frustrating because we literally have to look something up online and he's asking what he can do. And we're like, we got to look this up first. But he's got a very strong work ethic, and, he's learned that from his dad, and it shows. Mason is very tailored towards kind of looking at the next steps of the business, which is awesome for his age. So we have a lot of meetings. Nicole and I, who's my wife, we have a lot of meetings with Mason to try to plan out what does the future of Kromrey Customs look like. And for him to be able to sit down and think through those processes and say, make suggestions and say, I think we should maybe go this way. I think maybe we need these people. I think this is how we should expand the business. This is where we should lay things out. It's pretty awesome to have that kind of business mindset, especially at his age.
That's good, guys. You guys are really ready to, Jack, you're 19?
Yeah.
Mason, you're 20?
20,
That's
yes.
awesome. You guys are set. You're ready to go. Do you think that they came with skills that they learned from their auto class or their classes that they took at WCC? Did they come with skills prepared to do the job?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see it in something as simple as trying to weld something up. They can jump in and they might need a little bit of guidance to, what material we're using or what filler we're using, how to set the welder perfectly for the application. But in general, they know all the fundamentals of pretty much everything. They know how to go to the next step and look in an electronic system and say, this is what you do next. This is how you get this off. This is how you replace this. So, they definitely have all the fundamentals from their program.
That's good. Do you think that they were prepared with professional skills when they came to you? Because we do, like Mason mentioned earlier, we do the resume writing, we do LinkedIn, we do soft skills training, and that's kind of like what an employer is looking for in an employee. So do you think that they were prepared in their, let's say, professional skills?
Yeah, I think both of them interviewed and talked really well. Mason had a really good resume coming into it. Jack, I looked at his resume really quickly, but I could learn really quickly that he was, had a strong work ethic just from talking to him. So I probably spent less time looking at the resume side and kind of the professionalism of Jack than I did with Mason, just because of their 2 different personality types.
Absolutely. You can see that in the first 5 minutes that you meet them. Like, you can tell they are both really hardworking students, employees. I mean, you guys, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think some benefits of hiring early college students are if other employers were looking at that? So what are some benefits?
Yeah, I would say number one benefit that we've seen, because we're kind of a little bit of a niche line of work,
right,
is being able to teach exactly the way that you want them to do stuff. there is a lot of people in the automotive industry doing things the wrong way, or skipping steps, or putting in the lowest quality part to get it out the door. These guys are so much more absorbent of new information and new processes than someone that's been doing it for 20 or 30 years, that got into a production environment, is what we call it, where they're just trying to turn over a job as cheap as possible for an insurance company, for example.
Right.
Being able to show them the right way for that to last has been really cool. And then now they're trained in that process. So even if they don't stay with us, which I hope you guys do, but if they don't, then they're going to go somewhere. And in the minute that they see something that's wrong, they're going to have to say something, because it's going to probably drive them nuts that someone's
Right.
doing it the wrong way, or trying to really quickly scuff a panel over some rust and spray something on it, because they know it's going to come back for the customer.
Right. Mason, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know who wants to take this question, Mason. Do you think you were prepared by taking your classes in high school, by taking your college classes, by doing kind of some of the professional prep work that we did? Do you think you were prepared to start? I mean, I know you probably didn't know everything, right? You were 18, 19 when you started, but do you think you were at least prepared to go in?
Yeah, I definitely think I was prepared. I mean, most skills can be taught as long as you want to learn them, or like have at least some knowledge of it. Like Chad was saying, like some welding experience on steel, you can transfer that then to aluminum and other stuff. So it's mostly just like your mindset and how that goes hand in hand with like what you want to do and all that.
That's good. We talk a lot about that mindset. I'm so excited that you brought that word up, because we talk about that. You know, we have to keep an open mind and want to learn something new. So Jack, how are your college classes compared to your high school classes? So you're graduating from the early college program, and you have a couple more classes to finish up. Your degree was a little bit longer, so you have a couple more classes to finish up. So how are your college classes compared to your high school classes? Did you like them better? Did you like the flexibility of the college schedule compared to the high school schedule? Like, give me a little insight on that.
Well, I would say with the first year of college classes, they were a little bit deeper than the high school classes, but again, just kind of a general like fundamentals, like Chad was talking about earlier. My second year has been a lot more in depth. I have some dyno classes and stuff like that. And those have been very informative and, of course, a lot more, like I said, in depth than the high school classes. As far as flexibility goes, I do enjoy that. I have a lot of night classes, which is nice, so I can work during the day, then go to class at night, even though it kind of sucks getting home at 11:30, then waking up at 6:30 the next morning. But Chad did that for years, so I can do it too.
It is possible.
Yeah, Chad. I know Chad.
You're young.
I know,
You're young.
I was telling my dad one time about the couple years where Chad did not sleep barely at all because he was working so much. And my dad goes, I've never wanted anything in my life that bad to where I could only sleep 3 hours a night for a year, which I 100% agree with that statement. But no, I do like the college classes. I like the machining ones. They've been my favorite. The machining and welding classes, they've been the most informative. And no, overall, I do like them.
That's good. So you have an associate, or you will have an associate degree, so you've had to take English and science, so the not so fun. So I tried to mix in, your fun auto classes with the not so fun gen ed classes. How did you find those? I'm sure a little on the boring side, but doable?
Yeah, doable. I'm not a very good student when it comes to like English and science, like stuff like that. So of course I do a little, poorer in those classes, but in automotive classes I've been doing pretty good.
Well, I wouldn't say you're not a good student. You're a very good student. You do really well. Yeah. So you should not say that. You are a very good student. So Mason, you kind of have an interesting path. I love to tell your story, but I'm going to refrain and let you tell the story of how you started as an early college student and now you're a full-time employee at Kromrey. So I want to know how you went from starting early college to summer internship to now, what did Chad say, manager? You kind of run the shop a little bit?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So I like to brag about you, so everyone at work knows your story. So why don't you tell it?
Yeah, so I don't remember like exactly like
I'll
step
help
for
you.
step,
I'll fill
but-
in for you.
So I know because I've been friends with Rebecca's son Trevor for a while, and I don't even know how the early college got like tossed up, but heard about that program and that they'd basically pay for your college to get an associate's degree at one of the few colleges, Washtenaw, LCC, and then a couple others. But Washtenaw had the automotive program, so I thought, that'd be interesting. I grew up working on old antique tractors and trucks and that, so kind of was my style. So I just started doing that, and then, just going through all the classes. Yeah, English and that, communication, history. They're kind of like the boring ones, but then you go to your next automotive class, and you're running a motorcycle on a dyno or something, so it keeps it interesting. And but yeah, going from that, and I was working part-time at a couple other jobs. Then we did the internship with Chad, got going with him. And
So then you worked that summer.
yeah,
right?
so I worked that whole summer. I think I was like mostly full-time there.
Yeah, a lot of late nights because I was getting done with work at, I think, it's usually 5 or 6 o'clock or something. I'd get down there, and then he would show up after school, and then we'd work until midnight. So
Yeah.
we had a lot of late nights
I'd
back then.
go to school in the morning and then come probably 4 o'clock till, I don't know, 9 on early nights, maybe 12 some nights.
It was the summer, so,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
still had time. Like, I still saw you. You had time to,
Yeah, I had plenty of free time. I was there till 2 in the morning a couple nights, but it's all right.
okay, so then you had to start school in the fall. You had your last year of classes at WCC.
Yep.
Did you quit working at Kromrey, or what did you do?
No, so I was still there. I think Chad and I at that point talked about bringing me on full time, like when that like, I guess school semester ended. So we did talk about that, and then I was kind of just working my way towards being more full time, still doing school, putting time aside for myself and that too.
And then you graduated.
Yep. So
With
then
your
I graduated
associate
with the
degree?
associates. Then just started working 40-hour weeks with Chad.
Okay, but a really cool thing is we had a youth employment fair, which we're having our youth employment fair again this year. We had it at the end of April last year, and it was so exciting to see you there, Mason, talking to other students, hiring them, right? Didn't you interview a few people,
Yeah, I think
a
we
few kids that came?
interviewed
hired
two or three. We
yeah.
hired 2 of them. But yeah, that was cool, I guess, to see going from starting the early college, working the internship, and then actually interviewing people that were in the same program that I was in, and then them coming to work for us. So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to see that like come full circle of what I did, but from the outside point of view too.
Right. It's so exciting. I love telling that story. And then this is just off point, but I have to just bring it up. Mason texted me maybe in December and was so excited because he got to go to Vegas.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
For
Oh,
conference.
yeah. For
So that was
SEMA.
like your first work conference,
Yeah,
SEMA,
it was-
right? You were so excited.
That was fun. Yeah, so we went out there for the big automotive show called SEMA with all they do everything. It's mostly just a like trade show for companies to bring their cars, parts and all that, show off. But that was a fun trip.
That's exciting. I mean, you're really young to be able to start doing all of that. So is it exciting for you, Chad, too, to have someone
Yeah.
so young come in and
Yeah, because as we grow, we need people like this that are super motivated, and the passion's not something you can duplicate no matter what age someone
Right.
is, right? So seeing a passion for the car industry or seeing a passion for what this is amazing. And, when we go out to SEMA and we're looking at all these different things that can help propel our business forward, it's the reason why I took Mason out there is because we're looking at new technology and how we can apply it to our customers and our business. So, those opportunities, yes, they're expensive for us as a business, but what you get back from seeing what the industry is doing and what people are doing with other car builds, and even all the different tools that are available, it is pretty cool. And we did purchase some stuff while we were out there that was new and innovative. So, we had that stuff it's amazing. They'll like ship it by the time you get back and have it there
so
waiting.
cool.
Yeah.
That's
Also like the modern day like paint processes. I know
Yeah.
the one thing Chad and I did there is this like VR painting
Mm-hmm.
thing. So we were like virtually painting a tailgate.
That's cool.
I'm still mad because Mason beat me by a small percentage. But we both had really high scores,
it was
but
like-
he beat me by
It
a
was
little.
like 91%, 92% or something. Yeah,
You still beat him.
I did.
Aw.
He's still a better painter in real life though.
He has some years on you though,
He
so
does.
maybe
He does.
maybe by when you're that.
Yeah, that brings
More
up a good point
experienced.
though, because SEMA, the original reason we actually went out there, there's obviously cool cars and it's a cool perk to be able to go out there,
Right.
but we went and took training courses. So I think we signed up for 6 training courses.
Oh, wow.
So we went through a modern paint processes course. We went through, there was one about business process, how to make more money as your business. So we went through all that stuff, and Mason got to see at a more professional, higher end level of current operating businesses that are best in the country are teaching these courses, or the best people in the industry on paint process currently are teaching this. They're even the main supplier, multi-billion-dollar companies are teaching these courses directly to you out there. So you can't really get that, at our shop, and you can't really get that in, your early education, but you can get that when you go to places like this that are really custom tailored towards our business.
That's
So,
really cool.
yeah, it was really cool to go through those processes. And honestly, we had, I think, a couple hand raisers that, like, we're talking about things that some of these industry leaders didn't even know because of how they deal with insurance and collision work. And we're talking about things that we've done or tried that are actually exceeding a lot of the expectations
Wow.
that they even had on paint processes. So it was kind of cool to be able to talk with them after, even everything down to how we estimate a car out. It's very hard in our industry. But Mason and I got to talk to one of the leading experts, actually from, I think he was from British Columbia. He was teaching the
Okay.
course that he coaches businesses across all of North America. So he'll go from Canada to New York to, California, all the way down to Arizona. And he just teaches how to get your business operating properly, how to estimate better. So it's really cool to be able to talk to people like that, right? Because they're
Right.
running these businesses that have 12 to 15, 20, 30 shops throughout the country. So someone as small as us taking those insights is super important, but being able to see that direct is super cool out there.
Right. So I will say one, skill, one quality all my early college students possess is their work ethic. And you've mentioned that quite a few times, Chad, but they are all hard workers. And I remember you guys can attest to this. We always have conversations. You can't work so much. School comes first. I always talk about how early college is an upfront scholarship, right? You didn't have to write an essay for it. You just had to show up, work really hard, and attend all of my sessions, our career readiness prep and college readiness prep that we do. But to hear from an employer about how one of their skills, one of their qualities is their work ethic, I would say, I would agree with you. Our students have that. Right, guys?
Yeah, there's been multiple times where I've had to tell some of the people in the shop to get out of the shop because you got to go do your schoolwork. So,
Yeah.
And I remember telling Mason that all the time because he just want to work until like 3 a.m. and finish painting something or doing whatever.
Rebecca would yell at me too. She's like, "How's your school going?" I'm like, "Oh, I just got to work and then I'll get to it." And then she's like, "Well, you can't be working 30 hours a week and doing school on top of that." I'm like, "Well, you're probably right, but
Okay, so I didn't really yell.
no, but
I just kept track.
you'd mention it."
Yes. And that's part of my job, right? I have to
Yeah.
check in and make sure you're doing good. Jack gets lots of texts, right? So that's a
Lots
good
of
point.
texts.
So I'm a good support person,
You
right?
are.
Are there
You are, yeah.
supports in early college? Do you feel that you're just left on your own, or do you feel that there are good supports in place, whether they're annoying or not, to help you?
No,
Jack?
absolutely. You've been great. Best counsel I've ever had.
Oh, thank you. I like when I call you and you're like, "Hey, what's up?" Not, "Oh, it's her again," right? Because didn't I call you to make sure you registered for your classes?
Yep.
I did.
Because I need that reminder because I
Yes.
forget to do it.
And you
get
did
distracted.
register?
I did register.
Yes. And I said I would be knocking on your door if you didn't register.
I think you would too.
Probably probably. So, Mason and Jack, I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give to early college students who are interested in any one of our programs? Anyone want to take that?
Well, I think the most important thing is, for me, what I've noticed is do your schoolwork early. I'm not sure if that really applies to the question.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to do it last minute. Your work suffers. It's stressful. Just put your schoolwork first. Do it first. That's my biggest piece of advice, is to just do your schoolwork before anything else.
Don't procrastinate.
Don't procrastinate, yeah.
Use good time management.
Yeah, don't bring your phone with you too. Like, you're working on your laptop, just leave your phone somewhere else.
Okay.
It's a huge distraction.
Yeah.
That's good.
I agree with that. Yeah, definitely the time management. You get pretty good at it though by the end.
Yeah, yesterday on the way home, I was up at Travers. The whole way home, I just worked on schoolwork. It was nice. It was like free time, It's like
Perfect.
I'm driving anyways.
That's perfect. Yeah, we talk a lot about time management. And I think the first semester is the hardest.
I'll
And
agree.
then you guys get it, right? Like, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely nice. It does give you a lot more freedom, like just with your days, your weeks, and everything. Like, you have more time overall because your classes are shorter than like normal high school classes. You don't go for a full 7-hour day. You kind of have like split class or split periods of time that you're in class.
And your classes are relevant to what you want to take,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they keep your interest.
Yeah, they're definitely not boring classes because they're all what like you're going into or what you want to do. And
The automotive ones, anyways.
yeah,
Well, we all have to have those
Yeah, it's
things
part of
that we
life.
just don't want to do, right?
Yep.
So one more question for you guys. How do you think your entire experience in early college has benefited you, maybe both in your career, your personal life, long term? Like, how do you think everything that we've done, we've done the the college readiness prep to get you ready. You've done all your classes. You did your CTE program at your high school. We did the career readiness prep where we made sure you have everything that you need. How do you think this benefited you now and maybe in the future?
Personally, I think it gave just like a giant jump start on my life overall. Like, I feel like I just moved a couple years forward without having to go through some other stuff. Like, I know people that are 23 just finishing college, and I'm 20 out of college and all that. So
With a full-time job?
with a full-time job
That you
yeah.
like?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jack? Do you have anything?
Well, the same as what Mason said. Everything's happened earlier. I'm ahead of a year ahead, basically, and also it was paid for, so I have that, jump ahead on the finances part of it, too.
Right.
I didn't have to drop $15,000 on school or more. So, yeah, it's what Mason said. It's a great jump ahead.
Perfect. Chad, what do you want to say to other employers who are thinking about hiring an intern or an early college student?
I would just say to not really keep an open mind, because you don't really need to. These people are awesome, right? But really try to think about the future. If we don't continue to train people like this and get them going in their career early on, then pretty much all the hands-on skilled trade stuff is going to fall. And you see it right now. You can call just about anything from, finished carpentry to getting a car worked on to, landscaping, and you'll see backlogs of 1 to 2 to 3 years sometimes in those industries waiting for stuff to happen or waiting to get, in the door with somebody. And it's because there's nobody being trained in those spaces, or very few, right?
Right.
And that's a huge void. And because of that void, lucky for, people like Mason and Jack, people are willing to pay more for those. So coming from someone like me, I had 5.5 years in school, very expensive schools, getting engineering and math degrees. I even studied abroad. So lots of money invested up front that you then have to pay back.
Right.
This program is incredible. It almost made me jealous because I was a very hands-on person. I was never really good in high school. Most of the reason why I started this business was because when I go and do my office work, I need to come and work with my hands again.
Right.
But I was never that great of a student in high school, honestly. And watching these guys come out and just be able to start doing what they love without that 5.5 year gap and, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt is incredible. I mean, there's a huge financial side to this too, right?
Right.
Even if you were outright paying for these courses, it's still significantly cheaper, and you're going to come out ahead of most of the people going to a 4-year degree. So I see huge benefits. And then when you have these employees, right, they're not so stressed out. They haven't been bogged down by the burdens of huge debt, right? A lot of times at my other career, we see people coming out of school because there's a minimum of pretty much what now is like a 4.5 year degree and lots of cost, right? And when you see people come in from that, you see this burden and you see like this frustration because when they start out, they're not making what they need to and they're trying to pay all that back. These guys come out and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. This is awesome. I'm working on the coolest things I could possibly be working on. And I did it early and I did it where I don't have a ton of debt coming out of it. So I would say keep an open mind for that aspect, right? You have people coming in that are so passionate about trying to learn new things and what they're doing. And they're not sitting there with the gigantic financial burden that a lot of people are coming into a new career. So, that's going to translate for 20 years, right?
Right.
10 to 20 years, they're going to be less stressed about all of those things that a lot of people are. They're going to move on. They're going to be able to get houses easier. They're going to be able to start families, all that stuff, right? It's pretty early to think about that, but that's going to be incredible for them because they don't have all these burdens. So
I agree with you. I agree. You guys are set. So exciting. Does anyone have any last words that you want to say about early college, about anything, any internship, your jobs, anything? If you don't, that's okay.
I got one thing, I guess, on like employers taking that chance with like a younger person. Like most people think younger, they don't know anything or they just don't give them the chance. Well, it takes a person like Chad or someone that will take that chance on that younger person that grows them to who they are supposed to be and who they want to be. So I guess thank you, Chad, for taking that chance on us and anyone in the future. So
well said, Mason. Well said. Very good. Anyone have anything else?
I guess I'd like to say I was on the fence about doing the program, and I'm glad I did it. It was a great, like I said, like Mason and I said, it's a great jump ahead, and yeah.
We had a lot of conversations, didn't we, Jack?
We had to have a lot of conversations.
It was good.
It was good.
I think I'm going to quit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going to do this.
I was ready to be done with
come
school.
on, Jack, you can do it.
Yeah, I was a year in.
Talked to me about that too. He was like, man, I don't think I'm going to keep going. I'm like, dude, they're paying for it, maybe see it out, see what you think. And
whether the final decision was, I was talking to my cousin about it. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to be done with school. And he's like, you dumb? He's like, they're paying for it.
Right?
I was like, he's like, dude, I was in the same position when I was your age. Just do it. And so that's what I have to say is just do it. If you have the opportunity, I would definitely take the program. I'm
glad you stayed.
Me too.
So Chad, do you want to give us some information about how somebody could contact you about your business?
Yeah, you can, easiest way is just go to Google and type Kromrey Customs, customs with a K. And we have lots of information there. You can link to our Facebook page. You can send us an email, or you can just peruse through the website. We've got some build photos of some of the cars we do in there. You can follow our Facebook page. We pretty much stick to Facebook because we have large photo galleries that we try to upload. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll have all that information in the show notes. So if anyone wants to look you up, the information will be in the show notes. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you for tuning in to this episode of Start Your Path. I'm Rebecca with the Livingston County Early College. You can visit our website at lcearlycollege.org for more information. That website will also be in the show notes. So go out and start your path.